understand. And so sometimes
when I'm at the poker table at this point, when people ask me what I do for a living, I just say I'm unemployed.
Yeah.
Wow. While
it's easier than explaining that, like, I make some money off of internet content and I deal part-time and I play some poker, and it's just like, I don't want to talk to you that much. I'm just going to be unemployed, right? It's much easier to just be like, what do you do for a living? I'm unemployed. End conversation. All right. Great.
Yeah, I do that when I go out of town too. Like, you always get those Lyft drivers that are like, "What are you in town for?" And I usually just say a nerd gathering. And the boyfriend made the mistake of one day of going, "We're here for Magic," and I'm like, "Baby, this is never going to stop." And then sure enough, it's like, "What is Magic? Where do you play? How many people are you?" And I'm like, "I told you, this is why you don't answer that."
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Magic Mics, proudly sponsored by our Patreon supporters and CoolStuffInc.com, where you can find cool stuff in stock every day, and our co-sponsor, CardHoarder.com, offering the best inventory, prices, and delivery of cards for Magic Online. I'm Evan Irwin, and we begin each Magic Mics by saying hello to my two co-hosts, Aaron Campbell.
Hi, everybody.
And you look great. Who are you wearing?
Who am I wearing?
Yes, who are you wearing?
Who am I wearing? So this is Calvin Klein. This is a 2012 Calvin Klein that I wore to a friend's wedding a few years ago. I wore it to a Christmas party that same year, and then I haven't worn it since. So I dug this thing out of my closet. It still fits just right, showing off the chromatic spheres a little bit, and here we are. So
hashtag Perky Brestlers. It almost got there to the hashtag of the year.
Up for a nomination. Yeah, absolutely.
And Ruben Bressler, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing well. I had my potatoes roasted quite thoroughly during the pre-show portion of Magic Mics, but we're all here. Are you going to ask me who I'm wearing?
Who are you wearing, Ruben?
I'm wearing a Ruben Bressler skin suit on top of my... Oh, shoot, I shouldn't have said that out loud. No, I'm wearing Christmas presents for my parents and my family, including this delightful black and teal bow tie, which I have a matching pocket square for, but... it's black on black, and the lighting's not ideal, and also I'm super warm in this room, so I'm just going to go with just the bow tie this evening.
Yeah. You look nice.
Well, thank you so much. So do you. Evan, what are you wearing? No, I'm kidding. Who are you wearing?
I don't know. A shirt from like Burlington Coat Factory and a tie.
And a tie that you found.
And a tie that I found.
Coat Factory.
That I liked. I'm a large dude. It's hard to find clothes.
That's fair.
Okay. That said, we also begin the show each week by doing our first pick, and we start with our giveaway. And our giveaway, which Ruben will so wonderfully link for me in all the chats, we want to give away one pack of every, basically, booster pack from the year. One pack of Ether Revolt, Modern Masters 2017, Amonkhet, Hour Devastation, Ixalan, Iconic Masters, and Unstable. One pack of all of those could be yours. For those overseas, unfortunately, we can't ship them, so we'll have to give you a gift certificate of equal amount, which isn't the end of the world, but, you know, we got to do that. That's the rules. So, link's going up. I'll tweet it here in a little bit, so if you're looking for that there. And so enter that. Let's give away some cool packs, which is going to be awesome. Quick reminder, our preview card is next week on Tuesday, where our preview card will go live at midnight. So we'll get to basically have a show, talk about things and stuff and whatever, and then by the time we get to midnight, when that boop, clicks over, you know, we all turn into
over to Wednesday morning, which is when we can do our preview.
Absolutely.
Which I think this is, first of all, it's a little unfortunate that we're doing back-to-back shows on Thursday and Tuesday. Like, I'm sorry for everybody who has to mess around with their schedules about that. I appreciate you guys making time for us. But I think it's super sweet that we get to tick down to midnight to do our preview card. I think that's kind of hilarious.
That's going to be a lot of fun, and you know, it's an interesting card. I think, you know, you can tell that Wizards picked it just for us, in the best of ways. So Tuesday is when we're going to be broadcasting next week. So it's hard on the guy who keeps saying every Wednesday, and then we're Thursday and then Tuesday, and that's messing stuff up. But we are going to the pre-release on Wednesday, and so we will be either in the air or in Canada, away from the things we need to make this show happen. So Tuesday it is. And we have plenty to talk about. Stuff that we're not mentioning tonight, trust me, we'll get to on Tuesday. There's plenty of stuff, including Noah Bradley and this crazy hotness thing going on. You know, the If I Had That
Stupid
Body.
Sexy Chase was a problem for Ixalan? Let me tell you.
Stupid Sexy Mr. Bradley.
Stupid Sexy Noah is
Woo!
something else.
Crazy. So get your bingo cards ready, because it is time for the 2017 Magic Micsies. Join us on social media, hashtag Magic Micsies, to talk about all of the nominees and the winners. Now, we want to kick it off with a really, really fun category. And there's no fun.
You forgot the bingo cards.
No, I mentioned it.
Okay, get the bingo cards.
Okay, sorry
right.
about that.
If you don't have the bingo cards,
I'm sorry.
yeah, no worries. If you don't have the bingo cards just yet, user Dave2619 on Twitter was able to print out a couple of those for us, and so we have some bingo cards. They're randomized clue areas, so 1/4 of you are going to win Magic Bingo probably tonight. So that's kind of awesome, and we'll get more cards, I'm sure, as we move forward in the year. Feel free to make your own at home as well and tweet them at us.
Yeah.
So we do get to have fun with our first category. Now, last year, this is the Wizards' dumbest move, and there was no shortage. As much as we love Wizards and laud what they do well, man, we had plenty to choose from. Last year, they pulled out of Gen Con, and that was, we felt, really, really bad. They should turn that around.
I still to this day think that's super stupid.
Yeah.
And they're doing a Pro Tour on the same weekend as Gen Con this year, right? Like, that's the Minnesota Pro Tour?
Well,
I'm
Gen Con
sure.
was late July was late July this year, I believe. So it's cutting it close. If not, well, Gen Con schedule changes too.
I still think that's horrendous, but whatever.
Well, if you go to Gen, because like now working at Cool Stuff, I'm going to Gen Con like just every year. It's just happening, and that's awesome. First of all, because Gen Con is great, and I get to make a whole lot of contacts, and it's super sweet. But when you go there and you see the ridiculous presence of Pathfinder is all over it, and Wizards could totally be there. In these same halls with all of this incredible promotion. Like Pathfinder announced their sci-fi version or whatever of the RPG called, I think, Starfinder, and like
Starfinder
sold out everywhere. Everybody's waiting to play it. Everyone's freaking out. Can you imagine if there was a new D&D release that showed up at Gen Con? Like, this is the stuff. These are the gamers that love D&D.
I know.
I get upset by it because it feels like sort of forgetting where you came from. Like, Magic started at the first Gen Con. Like, it has a deep history with that particular convention. And so to me, it feels bad when you see them going, well, we'd rather be at PAX, or we'd rather have our own convention, because it's sort of, like I said, it just feels like kind of forgetting where you started. And it's like, really? Like, so we were, I don't like that. I don't like that.
There was
at
an
all.
amazing article talking about the beginnings of Wizards, and they were like, they started at Gen Con. They showed up at Gen Con. The product
You wouldn't
didn't show
know
up the
it
first day.
because they don't go there. Yeah.
Either way, Wizards' dumbest move. The nominees are too many products at the end of the year. We have had
too many products.
Too many products. Yeah, Wizards had far too many products at the end of the year. Things got missed. Iconic Masters got smashed. Explorers of Ixalan was like, what happened? There was a lot going on. Arguably too much. The next nominee is Dual Decks Mind versus Might. Again, Storm and Walmart. Do I have to say more?
I think that's a fabulous idea.
That's Storm and Walmart. Now,
Aaron, please.
Our next nominee is HasCon and Iconic Masters. You ever wondered what would happen if you opened a set 2 months before it was to show up at all?
Right.
You ever wonder what would happen if you released that product after the release of a standard set during the middle of a spoiler season for another set?
And also jammed the entire spoiler season for that set into a 24-hour period.
Yeah, into like maybe 5 to 7 hours-ish.
Right.
Okay. Next up for the nominees is Amonkhet Invocations. Could anyone read them?
Hazaret the pervert.
Hashtag Hazaret the pervert, y'all. I mean, one of the biggest tweets I ever made was just like this random thing that somebody said, and you just can't not see it. You just can't.
There's still, like, sometimes, like, I look at the, the inventions, and I'm like, I'm okay with the inventions. The invocations are still just ugly. Like, I still don't like them.
The smaller frame for the art, I mean, the whole thing just...
The whole thing just didn't feel good.
The Ixalan geocaching debacle. The fact that you sent out something that could arguably be collectible to a player base that likes collectibles, so they will keep the collectibles instead of giving them away, which was supposed to be the point. Not to mention gamers going to game, it can easily be gamed, so on and so forth. And lastly, and I want to clarify this one a little bit, as we talked about in the pre-show, no Helene Bourgeot replacement as Director of Organized Play. Now, this doesn't mean that there is necessarily no one at the helm, okay? That there's nobody steering the ship. What it means is that Helene, as her public persona, as someone, when someone asked you, hey, I've got a question about pro stuff, or a pro has a question about pro stuff, or someone has a question about higher level, premier level play, who do you send them to?
Yeah. Helene, what do you think about that?
It is a little impossible. I'm currently skiing in Aspen right now. It is very beautiful. But no, shout out to Helene. She's living her best life.
Cannot come to the phone right now because she does not care for you anymore.
She's living her best life, though. If you were fortunate enough to follow her on, like, Facebook or Instagram, she's skiing, she's on beaches, she's going to big cities. Like, she's living her best life right now, and she deserves it because, she put up with a lot of our nonsense. How many times was she tagged in things that she had no say whatsoever over, but because she was so visible, people felt comfortable enough with her to tag her. And so I think she obviously deserves this time off, and God bless her. She's wonderful. And there will never be anyone else like her. I don't care who you get. There's only one Helene Bergeau.
Yeah, I mean, there's no question that we're not going to find another Helene per se, but I would like to know from Wizards, who do I contact about pro stuff?
Anything.
Who do I tag? I don't know.
And she was also our only guest in 2.5 years of doing this show. She's the only guest we've ever had. Yeah. We've turned down all sorts of people.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Things haven't worked out. Now, the winner of the 2017 Magic Micsie for Dumbest WotC Move is HasCon and Iconic Masters Hype. I mean, they at some point on eBay shipped $127.99. We're talking
that's insane.
Lower than the MSRP of a regular booster box at this point, of something that's supposed to have $10 packs. Now, I mean, it's just, it's ridiculous. And whoever did it, God help them. I do not want to be that person. Whoever that person was, who was like, I got this thing, that person's ideas will never be listened to at this point. Because, wow, I mean, certainly at the time, it was exciting. But, man, it just got clobbered. It just got absolutely clobbered. And the winner being really, I don't know, at the time of release being unstable, but like nothing about it made any sense. And you know, sacrifice Iconic Masters on the altar of HasCon, and here we are.
And it didn't work out.
No. And I don't think Iconic Masters is a bad set. Like, I think that I know that there were a lot of cards revealed. I was keeping up with the previews at HasCon, and there were definitely a lot of reprints that needed to be put out there. Bloodghast was at $30, $30 when this was revealed. Flusterstorm was in the $80 to $100 range. These were cards that really badly needed reprints, and so there was certainly a demand for these cards. However, the choice of Iconic as a descriptor for a lot of these, why is Irabrask the Hidden, or whatever his name is, why is he Iconic? Like,
this should have been called Commander Masters. It absolutely should have been Commander Masters.
Yeah, sure. Like the naming was a bust. The way that it was revealed in 24 to 48 hours was a bust. It hurts my heart to hear these stories of retailers just with so many boxes of Iconic Masters that they just can't get rid of, and it just shouldn't be like that at all. And
it was unfortunate for all
involved. It's a pretty bad misstep. I mean, in a year that had a lot of dumb moves, this one was the dumbest, I think.
It was,
and I'm pretty sure there's another one. I heard, if I understand correctly, there's another master set coming out in March.
Oh yeah, there's two master sets a year at this point, because this year we got Modern Masters 2017 in March, and we got Iconic Masters spoiled 2 months before it showed up with no spoiler season, and spoiler season consisted of about 2 hours before the event started. So yeah, it was just a big hot mess. Now Wizards likes going back to that well, you know what I mean? Subsidiary of Hasbro. Got to sell some packs. The cards are good, and the set was great. As far as I can tell, it was a great set to draft.
Yeah,
the draft format was amazing. It was almost perfect. I love drafting Iconic Masters. It literally needed like 2 switches. It needed a Gaia's Blessing effect. It needed like an Elixir of Immortality so that you could loop your deck for the control decks to be able to have inevitability. And there were just 2 cards in the set that no one ever played. And so they needed to replace 2 commons. They needed to replace a common and an uncommon with Gaia's Blessing and like almost anything else. And it was almost perfect. It was so much fun to draft. Every draft felt unique and interesting and fun. It's just really unfortunate that it felt like they just really screwed the pooch.
All right, so let's move on here to our second category. This being the smartest WotC move. As much as we give Wizards crap, we love the game. We're here for Magic. We want Wizards to succeed. They do smart things. Let's talk about them. for first up for the nominee for smartest WotC move is MTG Arena. Now, this to me is, seeing the sort of fruits of Chris Cox coming in and saying like, hey, Aaron can't keep a straight face, but would you please,
Aaron,
would you please get your digital side in order? And I really feel like they've done that so far with MTG Arena, that they got to stick this landing, okay? You got to stick the landing, and also known as the pricing. You got to stick that pricing, okay? Don't screw that up. I have no questions about their organized play. Wizards already has organized play down pat, and they can fix everything that Hearthstone is doing wrong and has no idea what they're doing. Wizards could show them the way. But if you mess up that pricing in the middle of Magic Online existing, we're going to have a big problem. A serious problem. So that said, still super smart, and I think they've done it a really great way. Many of us may or may not be involved in alphas or betas, but we have non-disclosure agreements we can't talk about. So that said, MTG Arena, super smart. Next up is Unstable. Unstable being one of the breakout hits of the year. Already gotten the rumor that the reprint is on the way. And between the full art lands, I mean, all of the crazy designs, the fact you could actually draft it and play it and not make it weird, I guess is a way to put it. It was still real Magic, but it was very fun Magic. All these really cool things with infinite damage. I mean, like, and not to mention, of course, the contraptions. That we finally found out what contraptions did, and it's unique and it's interesting and it's strange, and I just love it. I love all of it. Unstable was an amazing hit.
Especially considering that our Dumbest WotC Move nominees included too many products at the end of the year. The fact that Unstable was able to get out of that mess, get out of that quagmire, and be the breakout hit that it was is staggering.
I think it also says something that, even the official Commander committee was like, we're going to let you guys have these cards in Commander for so many months. And even seeing people, because Commander ultimately is ruled by your play group and your kitchen table. And so even people who, even in official capacity, when that mandate sort of falls away after January, there are still play groups saying, I'm fine with this happening. We're going to have this be a thing now. And so I think that's wonderful. And I think that's a testament to how popular the set is that this was done.
So our third nomination here is Wizards in Seattle Pride Parade. That was amazing. They made a lot of cool, really promo products and promo things that showed up. They had the rainbow-colored icons and whatnot.
Got my little planeswalker, a little rainbow pin here.
There you go. See?
Thank you, Trick Jarrett. So
yeah,
so that's terrific.
Dragons and elves belong in our worlds, and so do you. Was
but
a
not
catchy
players.
tagline.
But not
well.
players.
Look, you can't have it all.
Wow. Our last nominee is the Daily MTG site revamp, which, for all intents and purposes, it's gone pretty well. Mm-hmm. I personally miss a little bit of what I would describe as the personal touch of the daily update, but the fact that sometimes you can scroll down and there we are hanging out on the Wizards webpage, that's pretty cool. That's amazing. Thanks. Yeah. All right, so last year's winner was Draft Leagues. Cut to me saying, no one cares if you're playing with different people. Man, do you know how long it took for that to happen? Because Wizards, driven by pro players, taking people off the pro tour and saying, all right, let's make Magic. They're like, look, those other 7 players are incredibly important. Those other 7 players tell me what the metagame is in that draft, and blah, 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 and what I passed, and what I saw, and the cards I counted, and blah, blah. It's like, no, man. Magic players just play Magic to have fun. They just want to draft. Just let them draft. Yeah. So they did, and it was great. And while I didn't choose this for my own vote, my vote went to MTG Arena because I think, yes, it's not out, but what they've been doing has been very good so far. The idea behind it, the implementation, good job. The winner for the smartest WotC move, Magic Micsie, is Unstable.
Yeah. I mean, I think that Unstable being the smartest WotC move of the year means something specific to me, which is that I hope that Wizards of the Coast doesn't take themselves too seriously, because it seemed for a while that they really were taking themselves too seriously and got caught up in a lot of minutia and a lot of rules and a lot of regulations, and you need that at the highest levels of the game, of course, but when you have something like this that you can just let your hair down and have fun, it can still be popular with 90% of the folks that are not going to play on the Pro Tour, that are not going to ever go even to an FNM. And I just think that the implementation of being able to actually play the set, it feels fun, it feels random in the right ways, it feels interesting. The card manipulation stuff is cool. Hazmat suit used, for example, and the skull saucer and all that, and slaying mantis and all that stuff that's just fun and goofy and interesting. Really able to stretch their muscles and design some fun things and make it playable and fun and easy to understand. And I just thought it was such a home run, as proven by the fact that even in the middle of the doldrums of the product fatigue that we had, Unstable rose to the top and is getting another print run. That's outstanding.
Yeah, I think it's a testament to how good the set is that it's managed to sort of transcend these audiences. I've said it before, I am not a drafter. Like, you will never catch me playing a cube. You will never catch me opening 3 packs of Ixalan or whatever standards it is going and drafting. That's just not my way of life. But I will absolutely draft Unstable. And there are other people like me who don't identify as drafters that will absolutely draft the set and will go looking for a store to draft at and who will buy a box. I have a box of Unstable sitting on my kitchen counter right now, which you would never see from me. And, seeing pros who normally don't like to, it's not that they don't like to have fun, but, normally if there's not a buy involved or a Planeswalker point, they don't normally show up for it. But seeing pros that are like, I'm playing Unstable and I don't care that it's not going to qualify me for a pro tour, but it's fun. And so you're seeing pros and people who don't draft and, people who may not even go to their stores. We're all finding excuses to play this set. And it's just such a home run. And I think it's also a very nice palate cleanser. Like you said, Ruben, the end of the year is very gloomy because there aren't many events. Standard isn't still really great right now. The community has been sort of in a gray spot right now, and this set just sort of came in and made everything better, and it was just perfect timing.
Yeah, it was terrific, and even the full art lands, the full art, the borderless
land. Those are delightful.
The idea to use them on camera.
The idea to use them on camera at the pre-release was fabulous.
I think it was Worlds, wasn't it?
At World Championships, or at Team Worlds, which I thought was a fabulous idea as well. The lands look gorgeous. You have to kind of like adjust your eyes when you first see them because they don't really look like Magic cards. But once you have them and once you see them for a while, they are quite delightful. I just think that a lot of the things, there's so many positives about Unstable that it just makes it impossible not to choose it. And I'll reserve judgment on MTG Arena because that was a close pick for me, and it was your pick. But it's not out for the regular person yet, right? It's in beta stage. So once it pupates and evolves into a beautiful butterfly, then I'll see how I feel about it.
Well, luckily Unstable is a beautiful butterfly, and I'm telling you, mark my words, within 5 years we're going to have borderless Magic cards be the standard. Oof. The standard sets. Because why? Everybody uses sleeves. One of the reasons they had to do black borders was because no one used sleeves back in the day. You could tell what was where and what. No one does that anymore. No one cares that these things are full bordered or no bordered rather. No one cares.
Well, we do care if they're white bordered though.
Fair enough. Wow. Move on here to our next category of hashtag of the year. First is hashtag Faux-pology. You apologize, but you really don't.
Not really.
This was a nice hashtag. I was so happy when this just happened. It was just a revelation when Aaron was just like, that sounds like a faux apology, and I was like, oh my god, that is my new favorite word ever. Yeah.
Next up, and I'll go back to show us here on the screen for this one, is hashtag Rona's face.
Ronus.
If you've seen Hour of Glory and Ronus getting the stab in the back and the weird hashtag Ronus face, that was actually a pretty close one for what it's worth.
I hope I potato right at that moment where I was making the face just then.
You've already gotten your taters in for this one.
I did get yeah.
It's pretty
we'd already made enough potatoes for everybody.
Tell you what. But the next hashtag of the year nominee is hashtag Dat Hearthstone Money. Because Wizards is after it. Wizards is
a lot of it.
There's a whole bunch.
As we talked about with MTG Arena, and also a lot of other, not just MTG Arena, that's the most overt example, but there have been a lot of examples of them going after that Hearthstone money.
Mm-hmm. Now, Aaron, of course, you can attest that As user Chris RD19 notes in Twitch chat, hashtag Baywatch isn't just a hashtag, it's a way of life.
That's right.
God bless the people who have made that a thing. I can't tell you how many times I've hopped into an official Magic coverage stream and Reed will come on camera and you see hashtag Baywatch in the chat. And God bless them. There are people who will tag me in that. And I think it's fantastic. It's become a thing. That's really awesome.
And this is our first ever 2-time nominee.
Yeah.
It's true. Second year in a row. Hashtag Baywatch. Now, the last nominee wasn't in our original list, but was added later by popular demand. Hashtag 5Kids.
That's right.
I don't know if you knew this.
Hashtag 5Kids has been probably the hashtag that's used the most in the finisher, honestly. Yeah. I go back to that well quite a bit.
It's a good well.
For the joke. It's a good well. It has many kids in it.
We did also have a last minute entry of hashtag perky wrestlers because nobody wants saggy wrestlers. You want high wrestlers. Just
absolutely. I'm high wrestlers right now.
Hey. Well, last year's hashtag winner was hashtag pay the pros.
Right.
If you recall, Wizards trying to pull the rug out from people who earned things and what they thought they were getting, and then that was changing, and so they went back and they're sorry and blah blah blah, and here we are. The winner of the 2017 Magic Micsie hashtag of the year is hashtag that Hearthstone money. That's right. Wizards needs it. Wizards needs that infusion of cash. Hasbro can't wait. Give them that Hearthstone money.
It had to be that Hearthstone money, right? Like it had to be that. It was the far and away choice for hashtag of the year, I feel.
I think for me it was the choice because it was such a turnabout. I seem to recall that moment where somebody from Wizards had said something like Hearthstone is not competition or something to that effect. Right. And then come to find out here we are and you're releasing a program that has a lot in common with this game. And it's like, wait a minute, you said that they weren't even a blip on your radar and now here you are. And it's like, okay. And so for me, it was sort of the turnabout that made it obvious was we went from not even caring to now we care a whole lot.
I mean, those, and you can even see it with with Brian Kibler. Brian Kibler was like, that train is moving faster than this other train. That train has like $20 bills like flying out of the windows. I think I will hook my wagon to that one. Okay, let's go. And off he went. And I don't blame him at all. And that, dollars change a lot of minds and hearts.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And heartstones.
And Hearthstone monies.
Hashtag that Hearthstone money. That's right. So congratulations to Wizards for chasing that hashtag Hearthstone money. So, Ruben, I'll let you kind of walk us through this next segment. This is where we kind of take a moment to step back, look at the year, and talk about things in memoriam.
Sure. Well, the first spot that we're going to talk about things in memoriam is going to be the many, many, many banned cards that sadly have left us in the past year. Among them, Emrakul, the Promised End, Reflector Mage, and Smuggler's Copter, all three leaving us in January, followed by Aetherworks Marvel a bit later in Standard. And then in Modern, Gitaxian Probe and Golgari Grave Troll, Aaron, obviously, getting banned in Modern. And then immediately thereafter, not on the regular schedule, Felidar Guardian getting an emergency ban from Standard as well. And then, of course, Sensei's Divining Top leaving us in Legacy, and Gush getting re-restricted in Vintage. There was a lot of change to the banned and restricted lists this year.
That Looter McScooter, man. I love old Loot McScoots. I really did.
Yeah. Loot McScoots is great. And it was also hilarious that it was the standard open playmat for a while.
I'm still bitter about Grave Troll.
I apologize. You had your moments. Right?
And it's funny because, I've seen people. So Lantern Control seems to be experiencing a bit of a resurgence right now, thanks to War of Invention. And I was seeing a lot of talk about whether or not, I think PV had even made a tweet that was like, I kind of, I get it, but this deck is kind of doing too much. And so it's fascinating for me to see people be like, Lantern Control is fine. It's like, wait a minute. It's like, I couldn't have Golgari Grave Troll because it was unfun to play against Dredge, but you will let people run 8 Codex Shredders and 4 Ensnaring Bridges, which usually don't match, and that's totally fine. Like, no. Like,
now, this wasn't nominated for a coverage moment of the year, but when Patrick Sullivan learned on camera
that was awesome.
That Smuggler's Copter had been banned in Standard while it was the playmat for the...
Definitely could have been nominated for coverage moment of the year. There were a couple of good moments that we didn't have for SCG coverage. The rolling chairs moment was another good one when Patrick was obsessed with his swivel and rolling chair, and they both rolled off camera to end the event. That was a delightful one as well. Patrick Sullivan's just a delight, obviously.
Of course.
But yeah, when he learned that Smuggler's Copter was the main event playmat of the Opens, he lost it, and that was awesome.
That was amazing. Was the fidget spinner on the Aetherworks Marvel? Was that?
Oh, that was Daniel Fournier. Yeah.
I think, was that Grand Prix or was that SCG?
That was a Grand Prix. He was playing in a Grand Prix.
In last year, I don't recall. Marvel had about 4 months this year, so maybe it was this year. But in addition to cards leaving us, we also had some folks leaving the Magic the Gathering sphere or community. We had a director of organized play, former director of organized play, Helene Bergeau, whom we discussed earlier. The only Magic Mike's guest ever to this point left us as director of organized play at Wizards of the Coast. Worth Wolpert, who is the former director of Magic Digital Products, left in January of this year as well, both pillars of the community and longtime Wizards of the Coast employees. And as it comes to community members, of course, Christine Sprankle, C. Sprankle Run, said that she was no longer going to be cosplaying at Magic the Gathering events, which we covered extensively in the last couple episodes and may do so later on in another segment. And of course, Cardboard Crack, the famous Magic the Gathering webcomic, said that he was going to be taking a leave of absence. Might come back later, but for the time being, he's going to leave it where it is. I think he has like half a dozen books published that are available for sale on
sleeves and playmats and a little bit of an industry there.
All over the place. And of course, Cardboard Crack, I'm a big fan of because he was a part of the Star City Games newsletter when I was at Star City Games. So he has a special place in my heart. Certainly all of those folks leaving Magic were, each leaving a hole where in our hearts where that'll be tough to fill. And lastly, in the In Memoriam segment, in more of a somber note, Mike Davis, who was the former vice president of research and development at Wizards of the Coast, passed away this year.
Mm.
He is perhaps best known for convincing Richard Garfield to sell Robo Rally to Wizards of the Coast before Magic the Gathering was even really a thing. Mm-hmm. And he also was responsible for the hiring of Mark Rosewater. And so few people probably have had more direct impact on the history of Wizards of the Coast than Mike Davis, and it's a sad moment, and he will be missed.
Yeah. So for all the cards, for all the members, and for all the former employees who have impacted us, our community, and the game so much, we will miss them. And but Golgari Grave Troll, I won't miss that one.
No.
Okay.
Well, Grave Troll will come back. Because it's it dredges back.
It does.
You have to wait 6. You have to wait 6 of something.
Got it.
And put 6 of something into the collected graveyard.
Well, it's time to return to the vitriol. It's time to talk about the most hated card. And we had an addition to our original nominees list. But let's go ahead and run down the nominees. The nominees for the 2017 most hated card, Magic Micsie, are Aetherworks Marvel. You remember how this card was like neat and was showcasing the mechanic and totally couldn't possibly be broken by casting things, could it? It broke everything. It broke a lot. It broke a lot of hearts. It's one of those. Yeah, you really do spin the wheel.
Fun to play, really. I mean, unless you had a fidget spinner, but. Even then,
I think it's more than even just casting things. I think the fact was that we talk of Landfall is a really good example. One of the reasons we enjoy Landfall so much is that even when you're just sort of going about your business, like you don't have to go out of your way to benefit from landfall triggers. You just play lands, which is what 95% of us just have to do on a regular basis. And so Aetherworks Marvel, everything you do seems to give you energy counters. You make a Whirler Virtuoso, you make a couple of 1/1 Thopters, they block, you get energy. Like you're just doing, you're playing, you're attacking, you're blocking. It takes so little effort to get the thing off the ground that's what I think really pushed it over the top, was that it took not a lot of effort to get going.
And I think it ultimately was just, it honestly, I think it actually brought us closer to Hearthstone, which has a ton of RNG, which is random number generator, which is just a random thing happens. If it happens in your favor, you've probably just won the game. Like, it's just, it's there and congratulations and blah, blah, blah. But for a lot of them, it's just, it was just very frustrating card. And while I pulled for it the whole time and that, like, I got what they were doing. I understand what Wizards wanted to do. They wanted a big flashy card that really highlighted the whatevers. That was just not the way to do it. And
I saw their vision, and it didn't come together in a good way.
Man, and it made so many people really upset, not to mention all the crazy bannings and stuff in the middle of it. Next up is Vizier of Remedies. And Ruben, can you tell me a little bit about what makes this card hated?
Yeah, so last year's winner was Collected Company for most hated cards. And Vizier of Remedies really gave another tool to those Collected Company decks in Modern, allowing them to completely combo off once again, but without necessarily needing Malira, which is a legendary creature. And so you could have way more copies of this in your deck without needing to overload on a legendary creature in a deck where you're trying to put multiple creatures into play off of a sorcery. And so really it's living off of that. I think that people just were really tired of having those styles of decks, like those sort of Abzan mid-rangey Modern decks just controlling the entire format. And so I think it's pretty much just for that reason Vizier of Remedies makes an appearance on the list.
So Solemnity is the next nominee. I'm not sure that's the most hated card, though.
I mean, people hated that it was so late. Like, this is hated in the way that Great Sable Stag was like, really? Now we get it? Or Kataki Wars Wage a year and a half after artifacts were really really bad. People are just like, now you tell me? Now you come out with Solemnity. In addition to the fact that it's 3 mana, so it actually didn't really do anything. It doesn't have an effect the turn it comes into play. I think that everyone saw Solemnity and was just like, not only are you a day late, but you're also $1 short. And I think that's really what makes people hate that card.
I think if it was, you mentioned a really good point, Ruben, the fact that when it hits the board, it doesn't necessarily do anything. Rest in Peace, which is a card I have a strong relationship with. That's something that whatever graveyard you have prior to that point gets exiled, and then going forward, any cards are exiled. And so any energy they've already accumulated, if you're able to drop this on turn 2 or 3, okay, it's probably going to be very good for you. But if you don't stick this until turn 7, they've probably already got some energy reserves already in there to where you're really not doing anything. And so I think if it had something like a Rest in Peace type effect of exiling and then preventing, it might have been a little better, but it just doesn't really do that much. It really landed with a thud. Yeah,
it was really kind of sad. And another one that was most hated in terms of was a guttural response, if you will, was Rowdy Crew. And what was Rowdy Crew supposed to be doing? Why were we subject to this thing, this mythic rare from Ixalan?
That was what was offensive to me, is that it was a mythic.
It was a mythic rare. There was no need for this thing that is silly at best to be mythic. It's silly. But that said, excuse me, we round out our nominations with, again, what was not already on here, with Attune with Aether. Now, this card has gotten so much spotlight recently. It takes a while, even as Magic players, even as millions of us play this game, even as formats change, they come and go, things are in the rear view, you start trying to piece together the murder. You know what I mean? You start trying to say, wait, this is all about the 7 sins, right? And what's the head in the box, right? What's in the box? Well, Attune with Aether is in the box because the killer all along was this little stupid, it was Lay of the Land, for God's sake, that just did everything. You have Lay of the Land that adds more damage to things, that pumps things, that turns on Aetherworks Marvel, that makes 1/1s for Virtuoso. It just does. And and by the way, it fixes your mana. And it also fixes your mana in your 3-color deck. I mean, for real.
Or 4-color deck, as we're seeing with 4-color energy now. Yeah, I think Attune with Aether is really, it's the rug that ties the room together. It's exactly the thing. Without Attune with Aether, we aren't seeing nearly the dominance that these 3- and 4-color decks were having. We don't see nearly the dominance that the Aetherworks Marvel decks were having. If we don't have a card that fixes your mana, does it on turn 1 when you're not doing anything else anyway, and gets you a third of the way to your Etherworks Marvel, 2/3 of the way towards another Whirler Virtuoso token, does more for a green mana than a Deathrite Shaman does. It was just a crazy card for them to print, and I think that they realized their mistake later, that Attune with Aether was really the problem the whole time.
It was the killer, you know, calling from inside the house. You just didn't even understand. And the winner of the 2017 Magic Micsies for most hated card is Attune with Aether.
Yeah.
Seriously, it's weird looking back and not really seeing it, but now that we've kind of seen the full transformation, the power of energy, the refinement. You know how these tier 1 decks, they don't get there by accident. They take months and months of results and refinements and try new things, and then here's the whole set, and here's the whole block with all the energy cards and all this other stuff. When you finally get down to it, you go, oh my god, it was Lay of the Land that broke this stupid thing.
It's really emblematic of the problem with energy also. I mean, energy is a very neat mechanic, but the problem with energy is that it's a resource that you can funnel into any number of different directions, and when you find the direction that you need the most, you just funnel all of the energy into it. And most of the energy producers also are funnels, and so they cost more, right? Like Aetherworks Marvel gives you energy but also spends it. Whirler Virtuoso gives you energy, also spends it. The 4/3 that gains haste that I'm forgetting the name of right now. I forget what it's called. Then you know, even like Electrostatic Pummeler.
Yeah.
You know, like all of them have some give and some take that balance their cost. Attune with Aether doesn't have a thing that it does, so you just get free energy, which is too good. It's too much.
Yeah. And I think the other issue with energy is that you can't interact with it in any way. You know, it's like if there's Solemnity, but that's one card and you have to be playing white and it costs 3, and you also can't remove it. You know, like other mana efficiency, like Delve, for example. Okay, fine, you can exile their graveyard, you can do things like that, you can keep them off of Delve, but you know, once somebody's gained energy, there's no way to like take that away from them. They get to keep whatever they have, and it's just very frustrating in that there's very little you can do about it. It's just going to happen, and you have to like it.
They treated energy like they treated Infect. You know, it's like we can't have leeches. Leeches break this, like just break this mechanic in half. So no leeches, no interaction, no hate. The hate shows up late if you can even call it that, and it doesn't even matter. So yeah, Attune with Aether, again, I understand that. Yeah, Aetherworks Marvel was certainly a frustrating experience, but when you keep going, you keep digging, and you say like, but why was that card as dumb as it was? You know who's holding the knife.
I definitely want energy leeches now. I definitely just want like colorless white 0/0 energy leeches as it comes into play, drain all your opponent's energy and it gets X +1/+1 counters. Like that would have just been great. Or something like that. You know, anything that gets rid of your opponent's like huge storage warehouse of 16 energy for when they happen to draw their Whirler Virtuoso or whatever.
If you create a resource that does amazing things, and you give the people the ability to essentially get it for free resource in any manner or fashion is busted in Magic. It just over and over. There's a million examples. And also follows along the trope of the first time Wizards does something, they kind of break it because they're not really sure. And you know what? I'm happy with that scenario versus like Wizards played it safe again and we all snoozed through it and no one cared and whatever.
Sure.
Yeah, we like that they're willing to take risks.
So
I would rather this be the most hated card than for us to never have played energy at all.
So we're going to move on here to the next category of most loved card. We're going to take a look at the other side of things that we enjoy. You don't have to crabble over everything all the time.
Yeah, exactly.
Last year's winner was Avacyn the Purifier, which was an amazing card. Hey, it led to an amazing cosplay moment. You remember that, guys? You remember?
Yeah. It's also sitting on top of the boyfriend's Christmas tree right now.
Oh, boy.
Instead of the angel, he has the Avacyn symbol, and he wedged an archangel in there. And,
nice. Yeah. Very nice.
Very nice. So moving on here to our most loved card nominees are Spike, Tournament Grinder from Unstable, which inspired its own fashion line, even. Based on the
right.
I got the black one for Christmas, yeah.
Yeah. Search for Azcanta / Azcanta the Sunken Ruin, which has hit a ton of older formats.
Did you know that card is the reason why Topless Miracles is like the #1 deck in Legacy again?
Jeez.
Yeah. And I think that Topless Miracles is a cool deck, and I'm excited to play with and against it. It's not a complete horrendous lock like it used to be. So I love the Search for Azcanta. I think that the promo of all the flip lands or flip enchantments are beautiful. If you get your hands on one, be sure to hold on to that for your cubes, because those will be worth $1 billion, because there aren't that many of them. I love Search for Azcanta.
Yeah, that card is insane. Next is River. How you say it again?
Hoopoe.
Hoopoe. River of Hoopoe.
It's named after the sound the bird makes.
Yeah.
The hoopoe goes hoopoe, hoopoe.
It named itself.
Yes.
Which is quite amazing.
And how do you not love the hoopoe? I mean, come on. Look at that.
And how do you not love the rhino? Shout out to the rhino, the young mage who did that preview video of him on going on safari to find the hoopoe. That's one of the most adorable previews I've ever seen.
That was amazing.
That's terrific. So great stories all around that card, and it's just a fun card. I love the gain cards, draw a lot. Okay, that sounds amazing.
Yeah. I first picked many a river hoopoe.
Next up is Hostage Taker, that is absolutely shown to be, if not the best Ixalan card, it's got to be in the top 3, no question.
Yeah.
It's just a crazy good, crazy powerful card that has seen play from the moment it saw print.
Absolutely.
And lastly, this was added to the nomination list a little bit later, which is the Scarab God, which did an amazing job. Showed up, was killer. Great in tournament play, unbelievably efficient, freakishly good at what it did, and I'm glad it was as good as the hype sort of led up to it.
EDH. I remember my local EDH pod, there was my friend Peter in my group. Before the set even came out, he had asked if he could use a proxy of it. And we were like, sure, what's the harm in that? And then when we saw what it was capable of, we were like, you need to wait till the card comes out, because it's busted.
And shout out to the YouTube chat saying that Topless Miracles sounds like a strip club.
Well, we need a strip club for all these dancers that we've come up with names for over the year as well. So
oh my God! So
come on down to Topless Miracles, everybody.
So Ruben, can you tell us what your choice was, and then we'll go ahead and talk about what Aaron and I chose together.
That's fine, sure. I chose Hostage Taker. I think Hostage Taker is great. I think that it's just a home run all around, other than it had a print error on it at first, which is a little unfortunate. But I think that it's just such a powerful, cool card. It has really interesting with the control magic effect. It's one of the most dominant, if not the most dominant, sealed cards I've ever seen. In Limited, you're splashing this in your red-green deck. Like, you're just trying to figure out how to make it work. And it's in the cube already, just like the Scarab God. And it's a spectacularly powerful effect. And I just really like Hostage Taker quite a bit.
And it is a fine card. But Aaron, can you tell us who the winner is of the most loved card and why?
You and I clinched the vote for this one. We voted for Spike Tournament Grinder because this card is just fantastic. There was so much excitement around this card. We had been waiting for them to sort of finish the cycle. We had Timmy and we had Johnny, but we didn't have Spike. And there's been a lot of talk through the years about what Spike would be like, and for them to make Spike, a woman was really awesome. The shirt was popular. There were people that looked at that character and were like, I need that shirt in my life. And Wizards going, well, we didn't plan on it, but okay. And so then they had to rush out these t-shirts, and then they made the Swole and the Doom and the YOLO and all of those, and those are all I just see people rocking those all the time. There was a young man at the gym wearing the green one. I got the black one for Christmas, which I really, really love. And so I love seeing people talk about what they would do if they opened Spike, like what card they would bring in and things like that. And it led to a very memorable game at the pre-release with Jitte, and I know the boyfriend brought a bunch of his vintage staples when we went to do this. And so it's just been great seeing the way that it's inspired people in various ways. Emma Handy made this her Twitter handle. She is now Emma Handy Tournament Grinder. And so women really reacted well to it. People seem to have fun theorizing as to the cards they'd bring in. It was just a hit. There are people who still love Phyrexian Mana, and so they were really having fun with that. And it just appealed to a number of different types of people, and it was just a breath of fresh air, really.
It was definitely Wizards saying that, we're not going to make this shirt. And then I went and found the, Ryan Reynolds, and I'm going, but why?
Right.
But don't you?
Do you not like money?
You're right. Do you not like money?
We ask Wizards that question all the time. It's crazy. So that said, we're going to move on here to number 7.
I wanted to add real quickly that it led to another interesting coverage moment at the last pre-release with Wedge going and grabbing Shahrazad, which I thought was a delightful one as well. I was very happy with that. In addition to shout out to Wedge for previewing the Scarab God in the middle of our episode.
Yeah. And my reaction to it when I was like, this can't be real. Like, this is just bonkers.
It was so good. Now our next Magic Mixie is often the funnest one for a variety of reasons, because it's the drama of the year. The nominations for drama of the year include Chris Bakula for Hall of Fame. Remember when that was a thing?
Yeah. That was rough. That was a rough like 2 weeks where it just didn't make me feel good to go on Magic Twitter anymore. Like, everyone was like, this is a thing that should happen, and yet.
Yeah, and he reaches the mark that the year before he would have gotten in, but now he doesn't, which, and again, what Chris has done for the game, I mean, come on. There's some of the people in the Hall of Fame that just don't care one bit about ever showing up to a Pro Tour again, whereas Chris would be there, bells on every single time.
Yeah.
Next up would be the Christine Sprinkle and harassment controversy that I wouldn't even note that that's necessarily over per se, but it's certainly been a thing that we've all been living with in various ways.
Absolutely.
And the next nomination here would be for Popeye Stomping. Remember that was the funnest little few weeks, week or so.
That was a fun little drama of of Saffron Olive being like, what are the morals of keeping technology to yourself, and what are the the moralistic implications of dropping it 4-0, and then the guys that developed it just being like, JK,
people DMing me in the middle of the night with their screenshots of, Aaron, I got it. You can't tell anybody. And I'm like, okay. And I'm like holding on to it. And it was wild.
Oh man, Saffron Olive is just like, let's do this, fam. We're going to figure this out. You're going to take a screenshot. They're going to take a screenshot. We're going to look at some graveyards. We're going to figure out what's going on. It was a ridiculous,
this is how,
but amazing.
That honestly, the screenshot thing is how, I mean, for those of you that play Hearthstone, that's how Combo Rogue got discovered. Was that it was one guy who built a Combo Rogue deck with this was way back in the day. This was like the sprints and the preparations and draw your entire deck in one turn with Auctioneer. For those of you who know what I'm talking about. And the deck list wasn't available. It was just one dude who developed it. And AJ Soccer played against him, and a couple other people played against him, and decked him, and kept track of all of the cards that they saw in those games, and then released the deck list to the public. So it was a secret deck for like 3 weeks. Very similar to Popeye Stompy, where people were dropping it 4-0, except for that this was not real.
And the conspiracy
and
theory
then funny joke stopped being a joke when it was actually serious and started beating people online, which was awesome.
When it started showing up, I mean, for realsies, oh wow, that was beautiful. Yeah. Next up would be the MTG judge situation and their tools. I added the tools bit there at the end. Yes. The MTG Judge apps or whatever is just like a dumpster fire right now, and like
they were using PDFs to test people, and it was just waiting for shirts. My friend Chris just recently got their judge certification and had to wait an ungodly amount of time to get their shirts because the website was a mess, and that's where you get your shirt from.
Yeah, and not to mention the whole bit about Wizards is being sued by the judges about whether they're employees or they get overtime or they get benefits or whatever. So between all of that, it's a lot. There's a whole bunch of drama just kind of stuck in that little canister.
This was the judge program won this category last year as well, so it might be a dynasty in the making.
So this being, and my apologies, this being the Judge Center, not the Judge Apps. Judge Center run by Wizards. Judge Apps ran by the judges. Guess which one works? I'm just, just calling it like it is. And lastly, for our drama of the year is an MTG stabbing, a good old-fashioned stabbed him.
Good old-fashioned MTG stabbing.
Wasn't there a hammer, too? Like, he got hammered and then stabbed?
From what I have here, this was back in July in St. Cloud, Minnesota.
Elijah Dale Creech stabbed his brother, maybe? I don't know. But he also hit him in the face with a rubber mallet, yes, and then stabbed him 7 times.
Wow.
He's dual wielding, everybody.
Oh my God.
We got a knife in one hand and we got a rubber mallet in the other.
Oh God.
You ever piss somebody off so bad they stabbed you 7 times? You ever wondered if maybe you shouldn't have been so cocky about that, swing in the red zone?
I don't ever want to hear anyone say that I tilt, because I haven't hit anybody with a rubber mallet and stabbed.
Yeah.
Do you think he was just like, hold on, I'll be right back, goes, gets knife, gets mallet, like, you know, it's just like, let's do this. It's a stabbing time.
Right. I think the most I've ever taken from a stab wound was 4 life over the course of 2 turns. Usually it's just killing my tutus.
Oh my God. So the winner of the 2017 Magic Micsie for Drama of the Year, where, as recall, last year's was the Judge Program, so they got 2 in a row. The winner this year is Christine Sprankle and the harassment issue, not to the surprise, I think, of really anyone.
This one was the easiest one to choose, of course, I think, from the list.
Pretty slam dunky, regardless of the drama, amount of the other nominees. This one, the length, who it involves, what's been happening, pretty.
I thought you were going to say the length and the girth of this drama.
Wow.
It's the width.
It's how you use the drama, okay? It's how you use it. All right.
But yeah, certainly the most for non-Magic folks, for people who are outside of the sphere of Magic the Gathering, the most if not the most visible Magic the Gathering person was Christine Sprankle. Cosplayers are very visible in our community. She had a billion Instagram and Twitter followers. She had a very big following outside of people who just play Magic. And so her leaving as a result of direct actions from MTG headquarters and other folks online led to this snowball rolling downhill of another morality argument of what is bullying and who is in charge of being the end all be all of those rules. And it led to a lot of splash damage on other people like Travis Wu and dozens of other people who took part in the Magic for Bad group. Led to bigger discussions about bullying and harassment and connected into Gamergate stuff. And it's a huge issue and we're certainly not done yet. So I'm interested to see how much more there is. Like this is, I don't love it, but it is certainly interesting.
We actually have Christine in the chat here at Twitch.
Oh my God, Christine!
So, hello, Christine. We love you. You're great.
We love you.
You're awesome. Don't take this as been like this is you. It's not you.
No.
It's not. It's whatever. Either way,
we can send an award to you that was better than Drama of the Year. I would much prefer that. But
that you can eat, because there's nothing better than an eatable chocolate trophy.
Yeah.
Can we make those ugly trophies made out of gelatin? the Pro Tour trophies. Make them out of Jello.
I'll make them out of Legos. Anyway. We'll send them that way. All right, so we'll move on here to our next category, which is Artwork of the Year. Artwork of the Year's last year's winner was Chandra Torch Defiance by Magali Villanov. And turns out, and tell me if I'm saying that wrong, because I can't ever figure out. I think
it's supposed to be Villanov. I think that,
okay.
that we are over enunciating. It's like the guy that goes to the Mexican restaurant and says quesadilla, right? Like we're being a little bit too much.
Puerto Rico, it's like right. We get
we're
it.
Not allowed,
you don't.
We can't do that. So I think that's what's happening. But it's either way, the art is was iconic and beautiful, and of course Christine with the Torch of Defiance reveal at the on the stage there in Seattle was a beautiful moment as well.
Absolutely. So Magali, we'll just call her by the first name. Can't screw that one up.
She's pretty much just first name status at this point.
Yeah,
like,
Magali is Magali. She is just unbelievable. So our nominees here for Artwork of the Year include Tragic Lesson by Joseph Meehan or Mahan.
God.
What a brutal piece of art. Oh my God. I still it's like getting punched in the chest.
Yeah.
It's like watching Crash. You know what I mean? Like you're just like, I don't feel good or bad. I just feel tired.
Yeah, it's if you don't recall, Tragic Lesson is where Kefnet died. He's bleeding out of his head all over the rocks while his followers are freaking out. It's just it's unbelievable. Admiral Beckett Brass by Jason Rainville.
Excuse me, that's Admiral Beckett Brass.
the Beckett Brass, y'all. Woo! All right, so
Pirate Mom.
Very cryptic command by Wayne England, his last Magic piece.
Yep.
And Magali shows up again 2 years running for Huntmaster of the Fells in From the Vault Transform.
Beautiful. Right, which are sold out basically everywhere. It's a gorgeous piece of art.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is absolutely gorgeous. And but the winner for this year, for Artwork of the Year, goes to Jason Rainville with Admiral Bucket Brass.
Bucket Brass!
Because
the competition.
Yeah, because if you are ever able to put your mom in a magic card, if you're able to put your mom, who is a breast cancer survivor, if you're ever able to show grandma's kicking all the ass, this is a grandma kicking ass thing, and this isn't even an uncard. This is just grannies coming to get you, swinging on the rope. I mean, Pirates of the Caribbean soundtrack in the background. It's crazy.
I don't know anybody who didn't love this card. It also inspired, an EDH tribe. People, I saw so many people wanting to build pirates decks. I know a lot of people who are excited about Rivals simply because they want more pirates. They're like, I need more. This card just had an immediate impact, and the story is great. We love hearing the inspiration for artwork, and for him to say this is for my mom, and my mom is a survivor of this thing, and what better way to say thank you to your mom and to be able to. This is the equivalent of when people make a lot of money and they buy their parents' houses and they say, I just paid off my mom's mortgage or something. This is sort of like the artist's version of that. Is like, I've made you this, and it's awesome, and it's great.
So our next nominee, or our next category rather, is one that was added after we talked about Magic Micsies happening, which is coverage moment of the year. Due to a variety of legal things that I was not aware of, therefore I kind of ran smack into, I won't be able to show you a collage of what these are, but for the 2018 Magic Micsies, we'll make sure we get all of our P's and Q's in place beforehand. That said, we're going to run over here with the nominee list of the best coverage moment of the year. The first being Dana Fisher interview at GP Vegas with Rich Hagon.
Which was hilarious. Dana Fisher has no filter because she's 7. And you wouldn't either if you didn't have an education yet. So it was amazing. And she was like, yeah, I learned more from Magic, so my dad lets me skip school to go to Magic tournaments. And then, like he's a character in The Office, Rich just goes, pan to camera, and it was just delightful.
Yeah, it was terrific. The next one being Calcano making top 8 of Pro Tour Amonkhet. Christian Calcano, I hope to call him a fan of the show. Kind of ran into a thing with Oliver 2 earlier this year, but whatever. Sure. Christian Calcano making top 8. He got very emotional. It was a very incredible, powerful type scene. Aaron, you recall that one?
I do. He starts off strong, and then he just breaks down into tears, and then his team sort of crowding around him to hug him, and him just sort of falling apart once he's in their arms. And it was just you almost felt like you were intruding. Like, it was so raw and so vulnerable that you almost felt like there shouldn't be a camera there. That's something you should be like, I should just let him have this. It's awkward, but in a good way, if that makes any sense. And it's beautiful at the same time. And there's just nobody who doesn't love Calcano. He's just a good guy. He works hard. He's one of those pros that we don't talk about, and I mean that in a good way, because he's not doing dumb things. He just keeps his head to the ground. He plays the game. He's smart, and I appreciate that.
Wow. So our next nominee here is Martin Muller. Couldn't stop his F-bombing. For God's sakes, man, you're on camera. You're on internet TV.
Twice.
I'm sorry, but that was fucking great. Only one from me, unlike Martin's 4 or whatever. It's delightful. I'm just very happy with. You can bleep it in post.
Well, yeah, now you just gave me editing work. Thanks, buddy.
It's not like we're live.
I think the best part of that moment, though, was BDM's face. And I don't know if you saw this, but there was somebody who made a playmat of like an Andy Warhol version of BDM's reaction, and that became a meme insane in and of itself. And I think that's still his Twitter photo of just the.
Amazing.
Yeah. When he's trying to back his head up into his shoulders like he's a tortoise. It was amazing.
Oh my God. Our next nominee being the Hazaret punt and the post-punt speech, in particular the post-punt speech that was added later to this nomination by Rich Hagon, because I think having someone make an incredibly terrible mistake at the top level is a thing, and yeah, we can kind of look at it, point, laugh, feel bad, whatever, but Rich to kind of come back around to an impromptu, just give me the camera, just give me give me 2 minutes and run off this thing that kind of really just binds us together of like, yeah, Magic is an emotional, incredible experience. We're able to all kind of be in this together and have this moment and feel this thing, and it creates different things to every person in it.
And also, Yam's reaction was super mature when he was just... Because his Twitter was always that he's a walking by at Grand Prix. He said that I'm a walking by. And then immediately after it happened, it's like, looks like I'm still a walking by, but I'll be back stronger. And then he changed his Twitter bio to be like now offering services at Pro Tours, which was just amazing. Like that's how you handle
to own it.
Yeah, to just own it. Exactly.
And that was terrific. So let's go here on to our last nominee, which is Pascal Maynard hugging Seth Manfield during the Pro Tour Ixalan finals, the final game where Seth is so worried that he's miscounted, is so concerned that he's not going to be able to do it right, counts and counts and counts and counts and counts, and Pascal's like, dude.
And then Pascal's just like, wholesome memes time, stands up and is like, Seth, come over here and give me a hug. I'm not just going to extend my hand. That was a beautiful moment. Pascal, obviously, is just a brilliant, like, lovely human that we've talked about a lot on the show before. And obviously, Seth Manfield is a machine sent from the future to win Magic tournaments. And I thought that was also amazing, too.
Yeah, absolutely amazing for the moment. You know, for us to see that happening, it was it just gets you right there. Yeah. So for our winner here for the coverage moment of the year has to be the Hazaret punt, or as I put, a Hazaret punt plus Hagon speech on the slide here because I misspelled it. But Hazaret plus, in particular, it was the Rich Hagon speech, in my opinion.
The impromptu,
that put it over the top.
Like off the cuff, from what I understand, I think Maria Bartholdi shared that basically it was like, when we come back from break, just put the camera on me, I have something to say.
Yeah.
And they just went. And it's brilliant. If you haven't seen the clip, I'll post the clip in the chat here. See if we can all see it. But you should definitely go back and see it. For those of you who aren't fully aware of exactly what was going on, Yang Wing Chun was playing against PV, DDR, if you needed to know which PV it was, in Game 5 with the winner going on to the finals. And he draws for his turn and now ends up with 2 copies of Incendiary Flow in his hand, which are both sorceries, and enters his attack step before casting either one with PV at 11. So he can't even activate Hazaret to kill him, because discarding one of them to the Hazaret and getting to attack with a Hazaret would put him only to 1. And so PV was able to win from there on out. And you know, it was brutal in chat at the moment, and then he comes back and Rich just comes off the cuff with the most intense, like, if you weren't a fan of Rich Hagon before, and I'm sure there were people, and you know, it's easy to make fun of Rich. It's easy for him to be the butt of the jokes because he's got that British accent. He's got those puns. He's like, you know, it's easy to have him be a little bit of the butt of the joke. But if that moment didn't solidify his place in legendary status of Magic the Gathering commentary, I don't know what would. It was a brilliant piece of soliloquy.
I particularly appreciated, Yam's approach to all of this. It's Yam Wing Chung, right? Yeah, I appreciated his approach to this because this could have very easily, I like to think of this as his sort of Taylor Swift moment where it's like he could have very easily, you know, if you can't laugh at yourself, who will? And so he continues to play Mono Red. He played it at Pro Tour Ixalan. I actually got to meet him. He's very lovely. You see him joking about it to this day, and I think that's just the right approach to have. You know, I think if it were anybody else, they would be beating themselves up, or they might have deleted their Twitter accounts. They might have done something egregious and just really got in their feelings about it. But the fact that even as it was happening, he's like, what are you going to do? And like, I think that was the perfect way to play that. And I love that he sort of made it his thing. I love that he's running with it. And that's just what you're supposed to do. And I think that's great.
All right. So we're going to move on here to our next category, Format of the Year. And here's how awkward this gets. Last year we chose Frontier.
Look, man, if it wasn't, I'm all ears as to what it was. I mean, Frontier took the world by storm. They were adding events to GPs. They were
selling out. You mean like they're doing with Pauper now?
That's right.
Wow.
They were selling out, and then we sipped the Diet Coke because that's the punchline indicator. But yeah, I mean, you know, Japan and Brazil and you know, all the countries that don't have ready access to Magic cards like we do here in the United States, love and jumped on Frontier, and so that didn't continue, but it was certainly a one-hit wonder.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was awkward, and I hate it because like I called it a flash in the pan, and everyone flipped out on me, and I was just like, okay, I guess it's a format now. It's fine. It was not.
Sure.
Format of the Year nominees for this year is Modern, Vintage, Throwback Standard Gauntlet, Commander with Uncards, Iconic Masters Draft, and the Magic Online Holiday Cube, because that cube is always super crazy fun.
Of course. Every year should be.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
The Magic Online Holiday Cube is my favorite part of Christmas.
And I think that even if you're not playing this format, the format that won, even if you're not playing it, if you just look at it as an outsider's perspective, I can't imagine you would say anything but, wow, that thing looks alive. That thing looks like it just keeps changing, and it's different, and it's exciting, and it's unique.
People have spoken.
Because the 2017 Magic Micsie winner of Format of the Year is Modern. Modern is crushing it right now. They have incredible archetypes. They have super cool like tech stuff going on. They have these tiers that you can go after, so you know sort of what your main enemy objectives are, but you're going to run into some crazy stuff. It's getting very close to that sort of Legacy-esque. It has a huge card base. Wizards is able to reprint anything they want, which is nice, so they can keep the prices at least somewhat reasonable. And yeah, if you want to play a crazy, cool, fun Magic format that you can invest in and just play that deck with a few little tweaks moving forward as cards get printed in the future, Modern is your format.
It consistently sells out at the Open Series. In fact, Star City Games has even gone so far as to reduce the number of standard Opens in favor of more Modern Opens because they're consistently selling out. I think this is one of the reasons why we're seeing another Modern Pro Tour, because it's just so popular right now. The GP attendance is strong. People will come out for Modern. And I think that, a new Modern Pro Tour is sort of a nod to that. As much as the pros hate it and as much as they, would rather play anything else, I think Modern is just is just in a really great place right now. People are really turning out for it. I also feel like we're seeing sort of the impact of all these Modern Masters sets. I feel like that was sort of. I feel like we took a while to really see the impact of that it put more cards out there that people were able to buy. And so, there are more people able to play the format. And I think the fact that you can play literally anything you want, every day I'm seeing a new wild brew of like, are you kidding me? But it's true. You can be Tom Ross and top 8 something with 8-rack, or you can play Red White Prison, or you could play, Vizier of Remedies. You really can play anything you want to. My friend Daniela, she's playing a list that she calls a Suicide Blue, which is Thing in the Ice and Enigma Drake. And at any given point, you can see Modern streamers just running the gamut. And I think that's really great.
And I know there's some calls out there for Pauper, and trust me, I love Pauper. I've streamed Pauper. Pauper is great. Pauper is building right now. Pauper is in that, like, we're not
Keep an eye on it next year.
Next year, I think it has a great shot to be nominated for Format of the Year. But Modern, I think, just wins it hands down this year.
Yeah,
I can't get it
nominated. Sorry, go ahead.
I can't get it up for Pauper. Like, every time I try to play Pauper, it just feels bad. Like, it's just like, I'm not enjoying this. Like, I don't know.
That's how Evan felt about Frontier last year. So who knows? But I thought it was interesting that we had a lot of, obviously Format of the Year has a lot fewer choices. Yeah. Like there's 1,000 cards to choose from every year. There's only so many formats, but both Commander and Modern were nominated for a second year in a row, with Modern winning this year. And I really think that what pushed Modern over the top this year was that they banned Grave Troll.
Well, I think also that, I know.
Kidding me.
I do like the note from the chat of that Commander could very well be our Leo, where it just gets nominated and nominated and nominated.
That's it's our Susan Lucci, it's our Marissa Tomei. It just gets nominated every year and never wins.
So we'll move on here to we're into the big categories, to Set of the Year. Magic Set of the Year nominees for 2017 include Ixalan, Unstable, Commander 2017, and Amonkhet. There are reasonable arguments for any of these four to gain this status, to win Set of the Year. But there can only be one, and the winner of the 2017 Magic Micsie for Set of the Year is Unstable. Wizards killed it. It's so hard. It's great because there's so many things to talk about. It's like, yeah, but there's this fact. There's this aspect of it. There are these set of cards. There's this crazy idea. There's this fun mechanic. Unstable just gives and gives and gives.
Yeah, I think one of the reasons that Unstable took off was, we like to poke fun at Wizards for not learning from their mistakes. Specifically when it comes to, we like to bring up the fact that cost reducing mechanics keep coming up, and it's like, you guys, you can't do this. Stop doing this. And I think Unstable was really a case where they did look back at the past and say what worked, what didn't work. One of the reasons the previous two sets didn't work is because we treated it like a real set. We did all those things, and I think with them treating it as more of a supplementary supplementary product this time around, and really learning from those mistakes. I feel like they were able to apply it to this set, and that's one of the reasons why this set was a home run. Is just really that sort of foresight of, don't make those same mistakes again, and now we're seeing the fruits of that.
Yeah,
it won smartest WotC move and set of the year. I mean, once it won smartest WotC move, how could it not win set of the year at that point? I also think it's a little interesting that last year this category was won by Conspiracy Take the Crown.
Yeah. And
this year, 2 of the 4 nominees were Commander 2017, which Commander 2016 was nominated last year, and then Unstable wins it for the second year in a row. A Magic set that isn't legal in Standard wins.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I love Magic, but all these supplementary products are really just killing it.
Well, we always seem to have this weird issue with Standard for some reason or other. Everyone's pissed off. Whereas these unique kind of, on their own weird island sets of Conspiracy and Unstable can be weird and not going to really hurt anything. So what it is, it kind of creates its own little bubble. And inside that bubble is just a bubbling perfection. The idea that they put lore in there and that they have these different factions and it's all super sweet. And I mean, the contraptions were all one mega piece, which was amazing. So
everybody's great.
Everybody's going to want to collect them.
Great graphic design on that idea.
Yeah, and look, you already had these cards that, because they're borderless, if contraptions become legal, those contraptions in Unstable could be legal for Legacy. That is a thing that could happen.
Absolutely.
And
I think that Unstable's, it's spectacular. Again, it's spectacularly fun to play. It's spectacularly fun to watch. It was just a home run all the way around.
Absolutely.
And also, we're doing our Magic Mike's top 10s on our favorite Unstable cards coming out next week. So mark that off on your bingo cards and stay tuned for that as well.
I don't think the unsets get enough credit for really being ahead of their time. When you go and look back at certain things that first saw play in a silver border that eventually carry over into black border, there's a lot of room there. And even in Unstable, I've seen a couple things that I think could easily translate to constructed legal cards. And I think that's something a lot of people don't talk about when they talk about those sets. We talk about how funny they were, how great the art was or whatever, but, really looking at some of those things that were just ahead of their time and, wondering what could be next.
My favorite, the one that always blows my mind, my favorite one to kind of go to and say, hey, did you know that it took an unset for tokens to be included in packs?
Yeah.
And Unglued, that's the first time it had ever happened, and that just blew people's minds, and nowadays it's not only expected, they have to kind of keep going above and beyond what the normal tokens have been. All right, so we're going to get to our top tier category of the year, Card of the Year. Now, it can only be one. And last year, it was Thought-Knot Seer, which had just been a wrecking ball in Standard, wrecking ball in Modern. In fact, the older formats even, was good coming and going.
Won, the Vintage Championships.
Legacy and Vintage still.
Yep.
Still a huge player. Amazing.
Dominated the Modern Pro Tour when it had the shot.
Oh, yes. So we're going to take a look here at Card of the Year nominees, being the Scarab God, Fatal Push, Hostage Taker, Peach Garden Oath, which is hilarious, and lastly, Attune with Ether. So this year we have a winner, of course, of the 2017 Magic Micsie for Card of the Year, and that winner is Fatal Push. Fatal Push has affected basically every format that you could play it in. Standard, not so much, but the fact that older formats are driven by lower converted mana cost cards in general, and creatures obviously on the lower end in general, this almost by itself has taken Tarmogoyf out of a lot of equations in Modern and has, killed a lot of Delvers and Tarmogoyfs and Deathrite Shamans and whatever in different types of formats. So Fatal Push, it's going to be that weird sort of Inquisition of Kozilek. It's going to be worth $1 million because they can't reprint it very easily.
$7 on CoolStuffInc.com right now.
Yeah, right this second. So, and that's not going to get any cheaper in my opinion, because this is just going to go up and up and up. The card of the year that I think really defined, it changed Magic in the most dramatic way, had to be Fatal Push.
This was the one that it goes back to the most formats. I mean, we could have had Search for Azcanta on this list as well, because that obviously goes back to Legacy as well. But Fatal Push really shifted Modern in a huge direction, taking Tarmogoyf out of the equation, changing the 3-color decks. Because usually you wanted to play green and black as your base in those sort of Jund or Avzan decks and then have a 1-mana removal spell in either Lightning Bolt or Path to Exile. And now that you have an option in Fatal Push, you can do what you want, really. You can pick which color is up to you, or you can just stick at 2. You can play blue now with Snapcaster Mage in those style of decks, so that certainly affected Modern a lot. It was an F&M promo as well. Or not enough? Was it an F&M promo?
Yeah,
it was an F&M promo, which obviously those are still going out like gangbusters. People still really want those. Yeah, those are also quite expensive. And goes all the way back to Legacy, taking care of basically every creature that sees play in Legacy. So I think that Fatal Push was a shoe-in for this one, and I think that for a Magic Micsies that featured Aether Revolt for the whole year, and the only award that another Revolt card won was, or that Aether Revolt won, was most hated card. That's kind of unfortunate for that set, but winning card of the year, I think, is a nice prize for them as well.
Yeah, Revolt also plays very well in the older formats when you have things like fetch lands, when you have cheap things you can crack, like, Mishra's Baubles, Relics of Progenitus, things like that. It's very easy to get Revolt going in those older formats, whereas with Standard, you've got, like, treasure tokens, evolving wilds, right. Things you'll play, but you're not really happy about it. And so it's very easy to get Revolt with this. This is also a sideboard card that combo decks have started adopting, so they can deal with things like the Aethersworn Canonists, the Thalias, and things of that nature. And so it's really something that there's room for it in just about every deck. It's very easy to splash when you're only paying 1 black. It's very good when you're trying to Snapcast or something. That's exactly what you want to be doing. It's just very powerful, very efficient, and it's just has vintage even sometimes sees it, just dominance on every level.
Yeah. So last year Thought Not Seer was our winner. This year it's Fatal Push. So we agree, by the way, 2 for 2 so far with Reddit /r/ Magic TCG's card of the year. We haven't deviated from their choice either, I think. So I don't know.
Yeah, it's a good one. It's, again, putting a very set specific mechanic on a very ubiquitous, goes everywhere, mark off your bingo card type cards. The Fatal Push in and of itself, again, just changed Magic, and I think you can't really deny that it's done that.
Absolutely.
All right, so we're going to move on here to our winner of a copy of every 2017 Magic the Gathering booster pack.
Nice.
Which includes, Aether Revolt, Modern Masters 2017, Amonkhet, Hour of Devastation, Ixalan, Iconic Masters, and Unstable. That person is Nick T. from Topeka, Kansas.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so thank you, Nick.
Congratulations, Nick.
Yeah, we really appreciate it. We want to give you an email over the next day or two. We'll get you those packs ASAP, so you can be cracking them as you wish. So thanks for all for participating in the contest. And of course, we'll have another one next week, which is awesome. I did not forget, which is also awesome.
Very well. Well, I mean, it's awesome for you. It's not awesome for those bingo participants.
Well, there's some poor person out there that's their only box left, and they're like, "Damn it!"
But Evan, you forget
also,
every other time.
We definitely could have had a reference to all of the SCG bingo that happened in coverage moment of the year, but we also skipped past that one. But whatever.
Fair enough.
Self-referential
there will be other bingos.
Business. Oh, there will be other bingos.
There'll be so many more bingos. We're going to turn the corner now to the finisher. Now, so if you're looking a year ahead at the 3rd annual, the 2018 Magic Micsies, what are you expecting to see a dozen months down the line, Aaron?
Well, I predict that for the first time ever, Ruben will be on time for a recording of this show, but only because his nudes leaking will be a nominee for Drama of the Year. Like, leaky wrestlers.
Leaky, perky wrestlers. God, that just got foul. All right. Ruben?
I'm still pondering how I need to change my passwords. So I'm predicting that after a year of development and the open beta process, Magic Arena will win Smartest WotC Move in 2018. Or Dumbest WotC Move, depending on Magic Online's dev team.
Wizards?
That's fair.
It's like Benicio del Toro in Last Jedi. Maybe.
Her life is in your hands, dude. Her life is in your hands. Please stick the landing. Please stick the landing. You can do this. Well, with the recent news from Chris Cox about all of the projects in development at Hasbro and Wizards of the Coast, I predict that the format of the year in 2018 will be My Little Pony Friendship is Magic the Gathering.
Aww.
Yeah.
I would play that set a lot.
Yeah. We'll talk. we'll talk all about that Transformers thing next time because there's lots of words to be said about it.
We do have a lot of news for next Tuesday's show, everybody. Tuesday.
So that ends not only another episode of Magic Mike's, but our 2017 Magic Micsies. We did it, fam!
Yay!
We got there! Yay! We've dressed up and everything. It was great.
And can we talk about just for a second how awesome it is and how fortunate we are to have like an award show? Like this is 2 years now. This is a thing. Like that just feels really, really awesome to be get your bingo cards ready. It feels really good to be part of the zeitgeist like that. So
wow.
See, that's what this show is about. The zeitgeist of Magic the Gathering. I know you were waiting on that when somebody had that space there. It was like, Evan,
bingo.
Dude, you stay that word for like a month straight? Okay. So that said, I want to thank you for joining us here to discuss all things Magic and discuss the Magic Micsies. Thank you, Aaron.
Thank you for having me and have a happy new year.
You too. Thank you, Ruben.
Thank you. See everyone next year.
That's right. As we move to our final slide. I want to thank our sponsor, CoolStuffInc.com, our co-sponsor, CardHoarder.com, my co-hosts Aaron Campbell and Ruben Bresser, you guys for watching, and hope you support us at Patreon.com/MagicMikes. Visit our website at MagicMikesPodcast.com that exists thanks to our Patreon supporters, or follow, like, tweet, favorite, share, subscribe, do everything social that tells people we exist. Catch us online at Twitch.tv/MagicMikes, on Twitter at MagicMikesCast, on Reddit at Reddit.com/r/MagicMikes, and on Facebook at Facebook.com/MagicMikes. Talk to us privately at MagicMikesPodcast@gmail.com. Follow the audio-only podcast at MagicMikesPodcast.libsyn.com, or find us on iTunes, or join us here next week, same time, same place, for another episode of Magic Mike's. Good night, everybody.
Tuesday.
And by that we mean Tuesday, because I have a script and I read it and I'm a thing and it's whatever. We love all of you. You're wonderful, and we're going to go now.
Oh man.